I've been a chef, I've been a restaurant operator, I've been an events manager, I've joined an international bank, ran my own advertising agency, became a corporate trainer, and now I'm at them.
Sounds a bit job hoppy.
Yeah. We help entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs come up with these innovative business ideas and then turn them into sustainable, investable, and profitable ventures. Last year, we generated 150 new businesses.
Coming to you now as an example.
Yeah.
I have a great job, nice, fixed, stable job. I want to start a business. Where
Good.
do you take me from there? Welcome to Takeaways by Biz Brunei, brought to you by 𝗷𝘂𝗺𝗽, where we have conversations, realistic, meaningful conversations with members from BMEN. That stands for Brunei Mentors Entrepreneurs Network, which is an impact initiative which aims to bring together seasoned business people in our community to help other people in the business community reach new heights and new levels. Just like this man to my left. Hi, Mr. Reuben Chin.
Hi, Jenny.
So Reuben is well-known, fully seasoned on the mentor circuit. Reuben, tell us a little bit about your job currently.
Currently, I'm the Startup Development Manager for 𝗷𝘂𝗺𝗺 Enterprise.
Which is, oh, it's on your t-shirt.
It's on my t-shirt.
In case we weren't sure.
Yeah.
But Reuben, with this position, you obviously have some business experience. Tell us a little bit about some of your history in the business world.
Well, I've done a lot of things, been a lot of places, had some successes, much more failures. So I've been where shall I start? I've been a chef, I've been a restaurant operator, I've been an events manager, I've joined an international bank for 2 years, then I came out and ran my own advertising agency, then I became a corporate trainer, and now I'm at them.
Sounds a bit job hoppy.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that journey. Has that been to your benefit?
No, not. If I were to do it all over again, and if I was going to tell a young person that this is the way to a good career path, that's not it.
Why though?
But
the learnings, the failures.
But in my 20s, I wasn't thinking about that. In my 20s, I was thinking about what's the more interesting thing next to do.
Okay. So from cooking to advertising. So I got a long list here, and I'm glad I have a notebook. There's a lot there, Reuben. Did you jump from one thing to the next because of failure or because of lack of interest?
Some because of lack of interest, some because of failure.
Okay. So how does this historical lack of interest and failure lend you beautifully into this new role you have?
I like to think that I failed so many times in so many different industries that I know how to tell people where not to fail.
So hence, this is now part of your job.
It is.
So specifically, aside from the title, Reuben, what does your job actually involve in terms of the business community now?
So my team and I, what we really do is we help entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs come up with innovative business ideas and then turn them into sustainable, investable, and profitable ventures.
So we're really capturing people before their startup journey, at the very early stages.
Before. At the moment that they think they have an idea that can make money, they should come and talk to us.
That's an interesting place to start. Why do you find that this group of people to be particularly interesting at the start of their journey?
I'll tell you a bit of personal story, right?
Okay.
So I was working, and I remember in the year 2006, I was still working for a bank. Not this bank, but another bank.
Yes.
And I was in wealth management, and being in a bank, it gives you an idea of how much wealth there really is out there in Brunei. So by 2006, I was thinking to myself, I could be an entrepreneur, I should do my own business. I'm good at what I do, so I tried. Biggest failure of my life. I think that was a $380,000 mistake. But in 2006, I wasn't thinking about that at all. I was looking at my spreadsheet that told me I was going to be a millionaire in 3 years. But I never became a millionaire.
So why not, Reuben? If the spreadsheet said it.
Nobody told me my spreadsheet was wrong.
Okay.
And nobody questioned my spreadsheet, nobody questioned my assumptions, nobody questioned my market validation, nobody questioned any of those.
So you didn't do the right mathing, basically.
Either nobody told me that or I just wasn't listening.
Wow, that's simple, huh?
Because you see, the idea behind this, a business, to start a business, grow a business, is a bit of a miracle. It's a bit of a miracle, right? You need to be good at so many things. You need to be lucky at the right times. You need to have the right people telling you the right kind of advice. So it's a bit of a miracle. There are more businesses that fail than businesses that succeed.
But this is where your team comes in, right?
Mm.
To take away the miraculousness and
Correct.
ensure that there are the right tools and the right frameworks for this.
Correct. And ultimately, what we want to show people is not making one big jump, but it's a series of many small calculated jumps.
So this is really the crux of our conversation today. It's all about making the jump. And this can take on many different variations, either making the jump from a full-time job to a business.
Yep.
To having a little business from home and wanting to go to brick and mortar.
Exactly.
So let's go from the very beginning, Reuben. I'm
Okay.
coming to you now as an example.
Yeah.
I have a great job.
Yeah.
Nice, fixed, stable job.
Okay.
I want to start a business.
Sure.
Where
Good.
do you take me from there?
So the first thing we try and do is put your idea into what we call a BLC, or a business lean canvas. From there, it's a small spreadsheet. Sorry, let me say that again. It's a one-pager with 9 components.
I've seen that. It's got the boxes in it.
So it details who you think your customers are going to be, what's your cost going to be, what kind of team you need, what's your competitive advantage, so on and so forth. This is a much more smaller, shorter, more condensed, but equally as powerful tool as a 50-page business plan. We start from there. Then we take you on a journey of market validation. We get you to validate your market through either your close family and your friends first, or to the general public. If you have a good sense, then you have a good sense of how much risk you're taking by going to the next step.
So, Reuben, we have conversations with other mentors, and we ask them about the reality of people moving the first jump
Yeah.
from a full-time job to a side business.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that anybody can do it from your point of view?
Anybody can do it, but it doesn't have to be one big jump, right? It doesn't have to mean I have an idea today and tomorrow I'm going to quit my job, and that's what I did. Don't do that.
heard, yeah.
Don't do that, right?
But here, let me again just argue this point. There is a suggestion, actually it's from Shark's Tank, and
Okay.
they say, look, throw everything down.
Mhm.
Absolutely balls to the wall. That's
Yep.
an engineering term, by the way.
Yeah.
Give it all you've got. It's all or nothing. Do or die, to quote one of our previous guests.
Yeah.
If you have this safety buffer, and they say 9 months of savings,
Yeah.
you may not have that fire in the belly.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
I think fire in the belly doesn't come from not having anything to depend on. I think fire in the belly and passion and motivation is something that we work on, whether you have a full-time job or not. So my advice to most entrepreneurs who are starting out is to start from the wading pool, then to the swimming pool, and then if you're confident enough swimmer, go to the diving pool.
And are people not willing to do that? Do they want to go straight to the big boys pool?
No,
Very
well,
quickly?
we've got all sorts. So I've got a lot of entrepreneurs who come to us and they've got this idea and they want to quit their jobs tomorrow. We are hesitant to tell them to quit their jobs because of my personal history.
Right.
But then also at the same time, we have entrepreneurs who are so obviously ready to leave their day jobs.
What's so obvious about it?
They've got investors. They've got the right business plan. They've got investors. They've got customers. They just need to work harder at it.
Okay, so that to you is obvious.
That's so obvious.
So you'll say to them, you know what? You're good to go. Hand in a resignation letter.
You should quit your job. But I don't think it's ethical for anyone to direct a person to quit their job. It's a big step.
So there definitely is differing levels of readiness
Yeah.
in terms of making the big jump.
Yeah.
So in terms of the Brunei context
Yeah.
and how we are culturally and how we are quite risk averse,
Yes.
how do you feel about somebody beginning at home? The bundling thrift thing is a big thing right now.
Mhm.
Retail.
Yeah.
How do you feel about starting business on a very, very micro level? Is that the way to start?
Yes, it is. I absolutely love businesses that start with almost zero capital.
Okay.
Because you can now. During 20 years ago, when I first started doing business, you need some money to start something. You need to print business cards, that's expected of you. These days, nobody cares about your business cards.
No.
You need to rent an office because that's expected of you.
Right.
These days, we've got co-matching spaces here at 𝗷𝗂𝗺𝗽, next door at Darussalam Enterprise, and many other places. 20 years ago, we didn't have the internet. Or we did, but there wasn't much on the internet.
It's really
Now you
starting
can run
to-
an entire business at home on the internet. So why not start small so that if you fail, it doesn't hurt as much. And
Sure.
if you don't fail, then you take a slightly more calculated risk and you move on to the next step.
So start super, super tiny, because literally now we do have an infrastructure to support that.
Yep.
With the internet and IG in Brunei. What is the current trend now of launching a business? Is it to have everything on Instagram?
Actually, I'll tell you what my wife said to me.
Go on then.
If the business doesn't exist on Instagram, it doesn't really exist at all.
That's actually my thinking too.
Because the other day I pulled out my phone, I was trying to Google a business, and she's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to Google these guys. She's like,
As in a browser?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
And she's like, who does that?
Who does that, Reuben?
So I asked her, what do you guys do now? She's, IG.
What do you guys do now? So
We're
you
in a slightly different age group.
Oh, I see. So what do you youngsters do now? And it's really true. It's become so accessible to everybody. But by the same token,
There are more competitors.
yeah.
So start small, but start. So if you fail cheap.
I love it. And that doesn't make it as scary
Yeah.
and as
so
risky.
it's not that big of a jump, right?
Yes. So, Reuben, we're talking about making the jump. And obviously, in your experience, you're meeting with so many different types of business people at so many different stages of their business.
Yeah.
We're spending time talking now about people at the very early stages. But
Yeah.
in terms of your role, there are many other stages of growth. Talk us through some of that.
So we come across businesses that have all very unique circumstances and unique shareholders, people, things like that. But one of the few things that we find they have in common is that most people have challenges when it comes to selling their product. And if they don't have a problem selling their product, then they have a problem managing their finances. If they don't have a problem selling their product or managing their finances, then they have a problem with thinking about where to go next.
Okay. And sorry, Reuben, is one business owner expected to be able to have the answers to all these questions?
Absolutely not, which is why you need a team. Absolutely not, you need a team. Since this podcast is about mentorship, right? Can I change the topic a little bit to talk about how important
Whatever
mentorship is?
you need to do,
We can do
Reuben.
that?
Yes.
Okay. So, billionaires have mentors. Richard Branson, before he started Virgin Air, he went to speak with Sir Freddie Laker, who failed at developing a low-cost airline to compete with British Airways. Mark Zuckerberg went to Steve Jobs. So if billionaires have mentors, why shouldn't we, small businesses or small business owners, have mentors? By the way, I Googled it before I came. Google it.
Factually correct.
Yep.
So is that a cultural thing? Is it an ego thing?
I think it is, right? But I think maybe also because the world romanticizes the idea of an entrepreneur who comes up with a brilliant idea one day, changes the world, and drops everything, drops out of school, drops out of uni, and then changes the world. It's like a bit like Hollywood, right?
Yes.
For one Tom Cruise, there are many people who didn't quite make it. So for one Mark Zuckerberg, there can be many more who didn't make it. So the idea of this big idea guy and big entrepreneur who changes the world overnight, I think that's a very small part of the story. Most entrepreneurs want to start small. Most entrepreneurs are risk averse.
So where do we divide the people who are making it versus the people who aren't? And I love the fact that you said it's about a series of small jumps. Does the decision to not make small jumps play into the success factor of businesses in Brunei?
In what sense? Sorry, can you rephrase
Are
that?
we not making the right jumps at the right time, basically, in Brunei? There's a high, as you said, a high rate of not success, which is not spoken about often enough. What are we doing wrong in terms of the jumps and the steps we're making for local business? Are we going too fast, all in, too quickly, too hard? What are we doing wrong?
I don't think we can speak in a general way that all Brunei businesses are like this or like that, but we have seen all kinds.
Okay.
We have seen people who decide to quit their jobs and start tomorrow, and that becomes their livelihood, and that it causes a lot of pressure on them. Then we have seen people who hang on for too long to their day jobs, and ultimately their enterprises, which could have grown many folds, didn't. But generally speaking, I think most businesses, I wouldn't say fail, they taper off until they fail.
Right.
Because they're not getting the right inputs from people who've been there before them.
So therein lies the power of mentorship.
Correct.
And these different structures which you offer.
Correct.
And tools.
Absolutely.
Is a part of you thinking, if only you had met with us sooner?
Yeah,
you
I
would-
wish that Dare was around in 2006. Then I wouldn't have trusted my Excel
Then
spreadsheet.
you would be there and not 25 jobs later.
Yeah, yeah.
Reuben, I want to talk to you about the scalability of Brunei businesses. We have so many micro businesses, cottage industries, and we
Yeah.
get excited about it.
Yeah.
Are we not doing enough to scale up? Or give me some success stories. I'm not hearing enough about them.
You know, the only way for Brunei businesses to scale up really is to export, which is something that we tell all our startups from the very beginning. You can start in Brunei, use Brunei as a test bed, and once you've got the validation here, export. Go somewhere
But even
else.
before that, Reuben, 'cause that just makes my heart race.
Mm.
For me, even the idea of moving out of your living room, selling your perfumes
Yeah.
or raya hampers,
Yeah.
taking it to the shop,
Mm-hmm.
are we not making enough of that jump to begin with? We're very comfortable operating out of our homes.
Okay.
A great starting point.
Yep.
Do we need to start to?
There's always next step,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
we were talking about small steps. But if the question is how do micro businesses scale,
Yes.
it's always going to be out of Brunei. For the simple fact that we have a population of 400,000 people. So if you're lucky, you sell something to everybody in Brunei for $1 every day, and you
Yes.
make 400,000 every day. And that's your ceiling. And that's a really low ceiling. So if for a business of scale, always export. Always think about exporting from the very beginning. If you are thinking about, if your personal ambitions as an entrepreneur is, I just want to move out of my living room and have an office space, cool, that's fine. But if you are serious about scaling, then always export.
Okay, so to make the jump from your micro cottage business into exporting to make some serious money, what kind of businesses should we be considering more of?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
What kind of businesses do you think we should be considering more of? We have a lot of small food and beverage companies, but in terms of scalability, can you see any trends of stuff which the small business owner should be considering now for exporting?
I think there are quite a few initiatives happening right now. One of them that I can name is Ghanim and Brunei Halal, where they aim to collect cottage industries in Brunei and help them export. So you don't have to do it all by yourself.
Oh, wow.
You can just join them.
So they're almost like a platform.
Yeah. If your product is good, they'll take it and then they'll help you package it and help you export.
There's got to be some standardization there.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, and do you help with that, by the way?
Not me specifically, my colleagues in there do.
Right,
And
but
if
you know people who could help you.
Yeah.
Because when you move into this exporting
Yeah.
scenario, the game changes, Reuben.
A bit.
Tell me a little bit about how the game changes.
There are international trades processes that I'm not aware of. But generally speaking, our packaging needs to improve, our quality needs to improve, our shelf life needs to improve. But people already love those products. Well, why not improve them and just export?
So it sounds like, Reuben, at the moment, most of these exportability products are food and beverage.
No, they could be food and beverage. They could be IT services. They could be accountancy services.
And you're already seeing evidence of that happening
Yeah.
now? Oh, sorry, how do you export accountancy services?
If let's say if, for example, I have an incubator in iCenter, they are not in accountancy services. They are in research management. So they help larger companies do market research on what their customers feel, do mystery shopping, so on and so forth.
Oh, yes.
So they've already been engaged by a few regional companies to do market surveys in Brunei. That's one way we could export.
So that's very service-driven.
Yeah.
Now, typically, Reuben, maybe this is an obvious question, in terms of the investment of a product you want to export, it's going to be lesser for a service-based industry or not necessarily, as opposed to retail? So if I want to export all my chips to China versus my accounting solution,
Yeah.
typically? Is the service industry going to be cheaper?
I don't know. I think it depends on the industry. But if generally speaking, if you are shipping something from Brunei out, you're incurring logistics costs, which you wouldn't if you were only doing services.
But there are a number of different things we can do to be exportable, and
Yeah.
many different services for
Yeah.
exporting. Why do you suppose Bruneians are not making the jump as often as we would hope?
Actually, I don't think that's the right thing to say.
You mean they are?
They are.
And successfully?
The ratio
Yeah.
is subjective. Worldwide, 90% of startups fail.
Yes.
In Brunei, they don't fail so quickly, which could be expensive.
Tell me that again, Reuben. In Brunei, startups don't fail so quickly.
And that can be expensive. But that's a different can of worms. Maybe we need a different podcast for that.
Oh, so that's a whole different
That's a
series of
totally
episodes.
different thing, right? But back to the point of Brunei businesses, I wouldn't say that they are not doing so well, but they are stagnant because they don't think of exporting, and they don't think of exporting because nobody ever told them that they could. So
That's why you're here.
That's why we're here. But back to the numbers on starting businesses, my own team, we run the micro business bootcamp, and last year we generated 150 new businesses, and that's only within our initiative. I understand there are lots of interesting people. There are lots of interesting people out there doing interesting things, registering businesses without coming to us at there. So I hope they come to us.
Reuben, I want to just final question now.
Yeah.
In terms of making the jump from your living room to a shop to China, is there any commonality in terms of how we need to approach this? And I'm coming more from the psychological element. Nobody has yet to mention things like resilience and grit. What do we need to make those jumps from a touchy-feely point of view?
You need people around you that you trust will always tell you like it is. I think that's the one thing that we are lacking in the Brunei business culture. We try and be too polite, and we think that the other person may not be able to handle it. But if we understand that this is only about the business and not the entrepreneur, this is not the entrepreneur's decision, that was the problem, it was the business conditions at that time, we need to have more conversations like that.
Reuben, that's a lot of food for thought. I hope you stay in this job for a long time.
I hope so too.
Because your resume is going to be way too long.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reuben. So this has been Takeaways by Biz Brunei, brought to you by 𝗷𝘂𝗺𝗽. More conversations with more BMEN soon to come. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.